Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here, and this is going to be your Sunday video report. 74, 57, and 4 run with the free picks. Told you on Saturday I really didn't have a firm grasp on who I even thought would win the VCU Butler game. Went with VCU. That one went down in flames. Of course, I thought I had a real bead on who was going to win the Kentucky-UConn game. And what a pathetic first half by the Wildcats. You talk about a choke job. And then, what are they doing shooting a 3 when you only need a 2 to tie the game in the closing seconds? It's beyond comprehension for me. But anyway, lost that play, and a number of the handicappers at these sites lost that play as well. Of course, the biggest one of all was Scott Delaney, who was going for a record-setting 9th consecutive 100 dime maximum wager play. He did lose that selection, but then again, as I said, he was coming off a 4-0 sweep on Friday, which netted him 50 dimes, and the 8 days prior, he had won 8 straight 100 dime releases. So 8 out of 9 max wager plays. Can't really complain too much about that. Steve Duming, a guy I told you about, he lost his first ever 40 dime play in college basketball in VCU, so he is now 17-4 lifetime with 40 dime selections in all sports combined. And of course, Craig Davis, who cashed in with a 100 dime money line play on the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl, came out with a 100 dime money line play on Kentucky yesterday and went down in flames. So he is now 30-19-1 lifetime with those 100 dime releases in all sports. Kudos to Chuck O'Brien, who yesterday cashed in with his second ever 75 dime college basketball release. Those are his biggest, highest rated plays in college hoops, as he scored with Butler over VCU. And his only other 75 dime play came a couple weeks early in first round action, or second round play I guess it would have been, with Wisconsin over Belmont. So congratulations to him. Also, Jeff Benton had a big 60 dime winner yesterday on Connecticut outright over Kentucky. Speaking of the Final Four, well, the favorites for the 5th time in 6 years took a 1-1 split in Final Four action, leaving the Chalks at 12-10 versus the odds makers over the past 11 years. Overall in the tournament, the underdogs still hold a commanding 34-25 advantage versus the spread. And with Kentucky's loss yesterday and Connecticut's outright win as a dog, the Puppies have won 23 of those 34 games they've covered outright. Let's talk a little about baseball. I've always maintained that the first 3 weeks of any season is the easiest time to make money because you clearly have the advantages over the odds makers, and baseball particularly so if you're willing to do the research into spring training action. Now here's the deal with spring training. You don't look at an overall record for a pitcher in spring training because the first 2 to 3 starts are inconsequential. Generally early in the spring, pitchers are ahead of hitters, and the pitchers are facing split squads, they're facing a bunch of scrubs that are going to be either fringe players that are invited to camp because they're on the 40-man roster, or guys that are ticketed for AAA or even AA sometimes, or guys trying to make one more attempt to make the big leagues. So you have to discount their first 3 starts. I always have historically looked at the final 3 starts of spring training. Now I've won 9 of the last 13 years in baseball. Those final 3 spring training starts, as I said, those are the keys, because now the opponents really have the rosters pretty well set because you've got maybe 30 players in camp, but you've got your key core group that are going to be seeing action day in, day out. And the pitchers, of course, at that stage are working anywhere from 4 to 7 innings. They're done tinkering. They're ready to pitch. That's something to consider. Another thing to consider when you look at spring training stats is those final 3 starts. Did they come against same league teams, or did they come against opposite league teams? I put more value into whether or not those starts came in against the league that the team for which they're playing also plays. So with all that in mind, let's get to your first free pick here of the baseball season. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox to bounce back as a $1.30 to $1.35 favorite at Texas. Now, of course, Rangers have been red hot offensively in this series. 21 runs, 25 hits, 7 of those hits homers in taking the first 2. But today, the Red Sox going with Clay Buchholz on the hill. 17-7 breakout season last year with a 2.33 earned run average. He has a 3.24 ERA and 3 career starts against the Rangers. Going against Matt Harrison, primarily a reliever, but earning a spot in the starting rotation because, well, the Rangers needed somebody to start after losing Cliff Lee, right? So he's slotted as the number 3 guy. He had a 4.71 ERA last year. He has an 8.25 earned run average in 2 starts and 2 relief appearances combined against Boston. You know, the Red Sox, the last time they started a season 0-3 was back in 1996. You talk about ironies. It was against the Texas Rangers, who in that series, back in 96, outscored them 25-7. But again, I am going with the Red Sox to bounce back here as a slight road favorite in this one. You know, Matt Harrison only worked more than 4 innings once in 6 spring training starts. And in those outings, 23 innings total, he worked 19 hits and 11 base on balls, so 30 base runners in 23 innings. And let's look at his last 3 starts. He worked a total of 14 innings. 14 hits, 9 bases on balls issued. So combined 23 base runners in those 14 innings. He gave up 10 runs in those 14 innings, 9 of which were earned. Meanwhile, if you look at Clay Buchholz's overall spring training performance and you take out one horrific start against the Florida Marlins in which he was hit hard, giving up 11 hits, 11 runs, 6 of them earned in 4 innings. If you look at his other 5 starts, he worked a total of 17 innings. 1.06 earned run average, and 11 hits allowed. I'm going to go with the Red Sox here to bounce back at the $1.30 to $1.35 price for your free pick for Sunday. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Monday as we take a look at that little championship game between Butler for a 2nd straight year, and this time taking on Connecticut. Can Destiny's Darlings continue again with an 11th straight win? We'll see. Talk to you tomorrow.